Good day. Today we will be discussing distance, speed, and time. Now, before we can get into our discussion, what we first need to be discussing is the formula involved with distance, speed, and time. Now, distance obviously refers to the length of something between point A and point B. When we do talk about distance, we will refer to them in units of kilometers, meters, centimeters, millimeters, and so on. Then we have speed. Speed refers to how fast a distance can be traveled. And that when we look at speed, the unit that we use is a double unit. It is what we call a double unit. So, for example, when we refer to speed, we can have what we call kilometers per hour. This line in the center here does refer to per, so it's per every hour, for every hour. We can have kilometers per hour. We can also have meters per minute. We can have seconds. We can have centimeters per second. Now, that there, we talk about it only with speed because it is a combination of both distance and time put together, and that's why it is a double unit. Then we have time. When we do look at time, we are talking about minutes, hours, and seconds. Now, let's get straight into our formula. Our formula, we use what we call a magic triangle. The way this magic triangle is that anything at the top will be divided with anything at the bottom. So that means if I am dividing, I must have two pieces of information. For me to have two pieces of information, I will have my top number or my top value, and I will have either one of the two here. But the 2 at the bottom means that when we are looking for the top value, the 2 at the bottom will be multiplying with each other. Now, let us elaborate on this here. The D stands for distance, the S stands for speed, the T stands for time, and let's break down our formulas a little bit further now. We have distance. When we need to look for distance, so anything on this side of my equal to sign or on my left hand side is what I will be looking for. So I'll put a note here and say looking for. So when I'm looking for distance, the formula that I need to be using is speed times time. For me to use speed times time means that I must have a value for speed and I must have a value for time as well. When I'm looking for speed, my formula that I will use is distance divided by time. Now I've written it in two ways here. And that is just to basically show you that I don't always have to write it in long form like this, but I can also write it as a fraction. When we write it as a fraction, we are merely saying that we are dividing the values by each other. So again, the formula for speed is distance divided by time. Then our last formula for time is distance divided by speed. Now you can see based on these formulas how our magic triangle will work. When I'm looking for distance, it always goes at the top. And that means I must have my two bottom values as well. So it will be speed times time. But anytime I'm looking for any of the values at the bottom, so for example, when I'm looking for speed, I'll have a value on top and I must have the other remaining value at the bottom. So it's distance divided by time. Now, small simple rules that we should remember when working with distance, speed, and time is number one, and this will make a little bit more sense later on in the video when we do discuss some word problems. So when we're working with distance, speed, and time, something that's very important is that we work in the right unit. Now, what that means is that if the question says to you that we need an answer in kilometers per hour, but my time was given to me in minutes. Minutes and hours are not the same. So we need to ensure that we're converting our minutes into hours so that it makes it easier for us then to end up with an answer in kilometers per hour. And then the next thing we have is speed is always written with a double unit. This is important because we are talking about speed, and speed again is a combination of the two units put together. This is quite important. If you don't put the unit, then we don't know what exactly you're referring to. Okay, now let's get straight into our basic word problems. We are going to then take it further, and the further on we go into our video, it will explain more complex word problems and the processes that are involved with that. Now, what is important for you to remember is that these steps to success that I have put on my right hand side are the basic steps to success. The more complex the word problem, these steps to success will increase but will generally remain the same throughout. Now, in this particular word problem, we will be looking for distance. Now, our word problems won't always say, oh, it won't come with a heading, we're finding distance, or we're looking for distance. So it is important for us then to identify what are the key words in our word problem. And you will see that the main theme of distance, speed, and time is identifying what the key words are. Now, the first one that we have here is a van is traveling at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. How far can it travel in 2 hours? Now, the reason I've underlined these specific words and values are because they are key words for us. Now, the first thing that we are going to identify here is that they're telling us that a van has traveled at a speed. So it's going as fast as 50 kilometers per hour. So what do? The first thing we are going to do that I have indicated on our steps of success are identify keywords or words which tells you which formula to use. Now, for example here, and you can also go, the first step to success is broken up into two parts. So you're either first going to be looking for the keyword, which tells you which formula to use, or you're going to be creating a checklist. And what your checklist will look like is that you'll write distance, speed, and time. Now, the first thing that was mentioned was that I have speed. So I'm going to write down my speed, 50 kilometers per hour. Then they said to me, how far can it travel in 2 hours? So that means my time is 2 hours. I don't know what the distance is. So this portion here tells you how far. They want to know what the distance is here. So I don't have that portion, so that is what I will be looking for. That is what I need to know. Now, like I said, these two first steps of success go together. They go hand in hand. So when I've created my checklist here, it then told me, oh, I need my distance. So that means I need to use my distance formula. And my distance formula is speed times time. And my second step to success is input values into the formula. So I have my speed, which is 50 kilometers. So I put my 50 kilometers down per hour. My time, they've given me a time, and that is 2 hours. So I go ahead and put my time down as well. We then follow basic calculation rules. So we are multiplying. So that means we will say 50 times 2 gives us 100 kilometers. Now you will see I did put this as a third step to success. However, it is just a reminder to tell you that you shouldn't forget, so that we all know what you have calculated, what the unit is that you are working with. So the last step is write the correct unit of measurement with your answer. Now you can see I put kilometers. How you will know what unit to put down is based on what your speed has been given to you in. In our speed value, they've told us to use kilometers per hour. So the fact that they put kilometers there refers to distance, and that tells me that my answer will then result in kilometer form. Okay, so now we are looking at how we will use our magic triangle in different situations. In our first example, we were looking for distance. So that one was relatively simple because our formula is only to do with the bottom two in our magic triangle. Let me put my magic triangle down on the side here as a reminder so that we know what it is that we need to be doing. So we have distance at the top over speed times time. So in our first example, we worked with distance. Now, let us see what it is that we'll be looking for. Even though I know our heading says finding speed, like I said before, it won't always tell us what we are looking for at all times. Now, let's go through our word problem. The first thing we are going to do is our first step to success. So step number 1 is to either identify our keywords in our word problem, or so you can make it an and or to list what we have been given or the information that we have been given in our word problem. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to write down D for distance, S for time, and sorry, S is not time. S for speed and T for time. So now this then gives me a little bit of a head start so that when I am looking for my keywords, I know what to be writing down and where to be writing it down. So our word problem says an airplane traveled 26 kilometers in 2 minutes. Find its speed in kilometers per minute. Now, so what I've identified here is, first they've told me that my distance is 26 kilometers. How you know that is your distance is because it is in a distance unit. My time that they've told me is 2 minutes, and they haven't told me what my speed is. So that tells me I need to be looking for my speed. And they've also told me what they want me to keep my unit in. They want me to give an answer in kilometers per minute. So the formula that I need to be using is our speed formula. I know that I'm using my speed formula because I don't have a value for my speed. So my formula for speed is distance divided by time. So we have D divided by time. Now remember, you can also write this as a fraction if you so wish to do so. And it will look like I've done it on the side here. Now, our distance is 26 kilometers and our time is 2 minutes. If you are not sure how to divide 26 divided by 2, on the side of your page, what you need to be doing is long division or short division if you so like. The second number goes on the outside. If this were in fraction form, it would look like this. 26 divided by 2. So the bottom number goes on the outside and the top number goes on the inside. 2 goes into 2 once and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So my answer here is 13, and then remember this is my number value or my numeric value for my answer, but they told me that the unit that I need to keep my answer in is kilometers per minute. So I write down my unit, which is kilometer per minute. Now that then tells you what it is your answer is, and it's very quite easy by us creating a checklist as well. Let us now move on to finding time. Finding time works quite similar to that of speed, but in this particular case, we're not looking for kilometers per minute or kilometers per hour. We are looking for hours or minutes on their own.